Hey now, Katron Allen. KYOC 94.4, Katron Allen. Your feelings were hurt is what you're saying.
My feelings were very much hurt. My bag's a little bit too, if we're being honest, which are tied to my feelings.
It shouldn't hurt your bag, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. If it hurts your bag, I think your stribling might be falling out.
Yeah.
Sights and sounds and edges found. You will now get down with the Underground. Posted up at otcffb.com is where you can find all of our content. And we are, of course, right now on the OTC Fantasy YouTube channel. Thanks for joining in. Make sure you subscribe with me tonight. Of course, I am Trav, hosting in West Coastin. Almost forgot to intro myself again. But with me tonight, the wise man, Jax Falcone. How are you doing, brother?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. Great job with that intro. You're going to get it one of these days, buddy. You got this.
One day. I've only done it like 100 and whatever times in my entire podcasting life, but one day I will get it. And with us, of course, not in the corner office, in the home office, Mr. Joquavius Kuvetakis. Rookie draft season is in full swing, brother.
It is. And I got to say, I have a little bit of draft fatigue. What are we doing tonight? I've just been in so many drafts. Like I don't think I could handle another draft. There've been like, I don't know. I've done like 12 already. It's just, I'm constantly on the clock, which is, very apropos given the name of our new, fantastic, amazing website. But just tell me we're going to do something aside from rookie drafts tonight.
We're going to do a rookie draft.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
But with a twist, we're actually going to say really smart things about the picks, different than some of the other websites do. Okay.
I will say, my board is very different than everybody else's. So maybe that's smart. I'm going to stay true to what I've been doing, which is honestly kind of a little unnerving because in most leagues in most seasons I diversify a little bit more, but I don't know. I think I've got a pretty clear vision of where the value opportunities are, and it's going to probably differ from what most people are doing or seeing in their drafts, but I guess we'll explain it along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think, boys, that's where some of the edge is going to be found in this draft because our boards will look a lot different than the ones you're seeing in your current rookie drafts, maybe some of the ADP that you're seeing out there. And yeah, just kind of we'll talk through some of those picks and why maybe we're taking them ahead of where you may have seen them. But guys, we need to figure out this draft order. Last time, if you recall, we went on penis size and it went Joe, me, Jax. Do we just reverse that, boys, or just to make it easy?
Let's go with age before beauty. So I'll go last again.
I was going to say,
I'm definitely first.
I was going to say latitude, but the result is the same. So that's fine.
Yeah.
Longitude, maybe.
Yeah, definitely longitude. But if we're going to go like
who cares?
The beauty and age thing, then that means I'm on the clock with the 101, boys. Just going to go ahead and make that assumption if that's okay.
That's correct.
So it will go me and Jax. You said you're going last. So me,
to be clear, Jax. To be clear, latitude would also be the same order. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So me, Joe, Jax.
Yeah,
we'll
do it
decided. That way. See, boys, this actually works for me because I get the easiest pick in this entire draft. From here on out, there are decisions that need to be made, but not at the 101. I will be taking one Jeremiah Love. We've been talking about it. I planted the seed of maybe Fernando Mendoza being worth the 101, but last week I came off of that, and Jeremiah Love, tier of his own as the running back one. Joe, you are on the clock.
Even though I'm just going to assume this is not a QB needy team. And even though my wide receiver one is Mekhi Lemon, I'm going to take Carnell Tate because as an order of process, just based on how drafts have gone, if you're in multiple leagues, you're going to get your cracks at Lemon at the 104, at the 105, pretty
And
regularly.
sometimes later.
Sometimes even at the 106.
Yeah.
So even though we have them rated higher, if you're playing a portfolio play, I think you just got to take Tate here and just take these guys in the order that they fall as you go through your process. So I'm taking Tate, even though I like Lemon better long term.
Yeah, I think that's well said, and I'm not going to add anything to it. I will take Makai Lemon. I do want to move somewhat fast through some of these things, but I think that the alpha that Joe shared there is exactly right. I will say this too, if you have these three guys, let's just say, tightly bundled together in terms of you can't really decide, trade back. You can trade back for very little. You don't have to get a king's ransom to go from 103 to 105. I've done that very lightly before, where I've sold the 103 to the 105 for a future second. I thought that was actually a pretty good amount of value to get to make that move, because I don't really care if I get Tyson, Tate, or Lemon. I prefer Lemon, but I'm going to play the board here many a times so that I can end up with some diversification, as Joe pointed out, and also trying to gain some future value to move around the board some. So to me, that's the Dynasty Game Theory 101 that you want to be playing here.
I'm glad you brought that up, Jax, because I actually do want to just point out, we talked about this a little bit on last week's episode, and I kind of took that to heart and immediately took it into practice in the big game, which is a league that
Yes,
we're in together. You invited me into this league to adopt a just absolute garbage orphan. I ended up trading Jeremiah Love, and I got the 102 and the 103. And then I immediately traded the 102 for the 105. 102 ended up being Mendoza. With 103, I took Tate. And then at 105, I ended up with Tyson, if I'm not mistaken. So that's exactly what I did. I was gonna get two of the wide receivers anyway, and so that's exactly the way to play it. Just trade back to the 105 if you don't have any conviction between these guys, or maybe your portfolio is already overloaded on Tate or one of the others. Just move back and let the board fall to you. And I got extra second round picks in the process, so
Yeah.
just increases your at bats, which is what this draft in particular is all about.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's nice. And you don't necessarily you can go about that trade back in different ways too, right? Jax, you mentioned you got the 27 second for it. I think that's probably the high end of what you can get for that. I tried to get that out of Joe for the same move back and couldn't necessarily get that. I actually pulled one off today where I moved back from the 103 to the 105, and I picked up a third and Dylan Sampson. So don't necessarily go out there stuck on that 27 second. Find different ways. I needed running backs and I needed youth. So Dylan Sampson is kind of a high upside backup. I did get that 305 to maybe get one of those tight ends a little bit later. We'll get there in this draft as well, boys. But
hey, real quick, I want to cut you off. I want to cut you off for just a second. I just pulled it up on this cool website and app called OTC Fantasy, where you can actually see what the results of your past trades were, especially as it pertains to draft picks. So you can go back and look at your trades and actually see what draft pick they resulted in, which is such a cool feature. Such a educational experience when you look back. So I traded back from that 102 to the 105. I ended up getting Tyson at the 105, and I got the 205. And with that, I ended up with Jonah Coleman, who we've often seen going at the end of the first round. So you can't tell me that the value between, Tate or maybe Mendoza, but like Tate or one of the other wide receivers versus the third of the group, however it falls, and Jonah Coleman is there, right? There's a huge edge in just getting that extra pick, especially if you hit a guy that ended up trending towards closer to the first round.
That's right. And I also will tell you, one of the times I traded from 103 to 105, the guy at the 105 said, yeah, I kind of see this as a big old tier. I'm not really interested in moving. And some would give up at that point. And I actually leaned in. I said, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. I said, I kind of feel the same way. And so for that reason, I'll actually make the move up very cheap if you want it, if you do want the choice. And I sent him another offer that was kind of light. I don't remember what it was, doesn't really matter, but he accepted it and I was able to move back. So, even if you have to choose the price. I mean, if you don't, like, for me, almost any amount of added, value is worth it for me, because I don't really even care. The 103, 105, I don't even care. Like Tyson, Tate, Lemon, I prefer Lemon, but I'll take any one of them. So to me, it literally doesn't matter. So the the value I'm getting as the plus almost doesn't matter. You have to decide that yourself as a dynasty gamer where those things are, but definitely take advantage because free Jonah Coleman matters. It just does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. Okay, boys, I'm gonna make this pick at the 104. I've been talking about him as high as the 102, and I'm gonna take Fernando Mendoza. I just think the the positional value of the quarterback, we've been talking about it, and I've kind of staked that claim in Fernando Mendoza's camp. And I think, we're talking about him going behind the wide receivers, and we don't believe in him necessarily as one of these surefire first overall quarterbacks, but what if he is, guys? Like, I think he's showing a lot of the intangibles we want out of some of those guys with the work ethic and just the commitment to football that we've talked about. And so if he does end up being a good quarterback that gets a 10 to 12 year starter career, I think that's a huge, huge value, especially if you're taking him at the 104 in a rookie draft. So I just think the value there is too high on Mendoza to be passing at the 4. I think at the 2, if you like one of those wide receivers, maybe, but anything past that, I think I'm taking Mendoza.
This is actually exactly how my tier breaks. This is exactly how my top rankings line up. And right here, the choice is really clear. So I'm just going Jordan Tyson. High volume passing offense, has the upside potential to be the best wide receiver in this class. We talked about how we're a little bit concerned about his floor, and the model didn't like him as much, but the setup, it's hard to argue. He may have the best setup of any of these top 3 rookie wide receivers going into at least the 2027 season or 2026 season, excuse me.
While the model was lower on him, it didn't call him a bad player. It just was a little bit lower than we thought it was going to be.
Sure.
So it's not an exclusionary score or something where we're like, oh my God, we can't draft him. It isn't like that. It's just a little like, at the 106, I'm telling you right now, I've traded this pick straight up for 27 firsts. And I will tell you the easiest way to do this is with OTC FFB, because what you get is when you hop on the Dynasty Helper, you get the ability to bulk trade. So what that means is rather than going into my league and going trade, pick a team, see if they have a first rounder. Oh, they don't. Go back, trade, pick a team. I mean, this is tedious work. All you do is go into our site, pick the pick you want to trade, and then all 27 first teams will just pop up if you ask to trade it for a 27 first. There's 8 or 9 or 10 teams. You hit send to all. It immediately sends a trade to each one of those teams, and one of them will probably say yes, and they often do, and all you need is one. And this has happened to me in several leagues where I've been able to trade this pick for a 27 first, and I will do it every single time I can because I'd rather just be out of here, because I think that all of the players from here on are likely to be worse bets than everybody in the first round next year. That's just what I think. It doesn't make these guys bad players. It just makes the value better to sell now. There may be a player that out of these, the back end of this first round in 2026 that ends up being a superstar. Obviously, that's possible, but I don't know which one it is. And for those reasons, I'm going to try and sell out. If you can't,
coin is in the air. It's in the air.
The coin is in the air. I'm a dynasty player, correct?
Correct.
Sure are.
That means I'm drafting KC Concepcion over Jadarian Price as a dynasty player.
And
don't draft for need. Don't draft for need, draft for value. I'm taking the longer term asset and the better player in my estimation.
And over your boy Omar Cooper. Do you want to tell us a little bit about kind of the distinguishing factors between?
Well, look, I might have Omar Cooper and KC Concepcion very close, but what I have found in doing so many of these drafts is that people are fading the hell out of Omar Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
So I can get Omar Cooper at the 110, 111, 112, 201, 202 sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some really weird Omar Cooper fades. I am so heavily invested in Omar Cooper because I've traded this 106 pick I've had so many times and then had a 111 or a 110 to go along with it, or usually the 112 because I'm the champ. No, I'm joking. But, some later, that's the famous joke that everybody makes. But, I usually never even own my own picks. I'm always trading everything. So, but I'll have some later first as well and I'll just take Omar Cooper there when he falls to me. So because you can get Omar Cooper cheap, I'm just going to go ahead and take KC Concepcion. I have like literally no KC because he never falls later. So I guess for me, if I really wanted to take one of Casey or Omar, I would trade back from the 106 to the 109 or something and pick up some more value and take Omar Cooper there. But I like Casey Concepcion. I think he's going to be a good football player. So I'm into it. And if I got to take a player here, it's probably Casey.
No, that's good. That's a good point too, because I just got Omar Cooper at a 109 earlier today. So there is a little bit of a fade happening on him being with the Jets there. So some value to be had. I am up at the 107. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Some decisions to be made. And so we're assuming Superflex. Did we talk about tight end premium on this one, boys? We probably should have figured that one before I was on the clock.
Well, we'll bail you out. We'll bail you out and say it's 1.5 tight end premium.
1.5?
Not 1.75, not 2.
It's fine.
1.5.
I think I am going to, with that changes the pick, and I'm going to go with my guy Kenyon Sadiq. And I think it's this draft especially, like upside. You just got to go with upside. And Sadiq has the most upside to me of any of the players, maybe outside of Jadarian Price in that, day one role that he could get. But I think Sadiq has that upside. Looks like he's going to be on the field every play, hopefully. And hopefully the Jets can figure out their quarterback situation with maybe a high pick going into next year. So I'm optimistic there. And I believe in the talent. I talked to you guys about that. I feel like this is kind of the profile that we're looking for, as opposed to the Stowers that we've kind of been shying away from the last few years. So I'm in.
I love that because honestly, unlike Jax, I have had tons of 108s and 109s because all my teams failed miserably in the playoffs last year. So I have an insane amount of Omar Cooper, but rarely has it happened that Jadarian Price has fallen to me. Yeah. And I think I said, we talked about this last week a little bit too, but I think I said, I don't really want another running back in the first round, but given where he's been going and given the first round draft capital and given the landing spot, like, can he bust? Sure. Is it the flimsiest first round profile we've seen since, I don't know, Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Sure. And what did CEH have that Price doesn't have? Pass catching chops. So there's like lots of holes to poke in Price. But given the running back class and where everybody else was drafted relative to where he was drafted, it actually, by rule, sort of makes him more valuable because the top end running backs are more rare in this class, and you're drafting every year within that class. It's the value within that class. So he does belong kind of in this middle to second half of the first round. And I'm happy to take him here because I have pushed the button on Omar Cooper so many damn times, and I'm super glad I don't have to do it in this mock draft again.
I would have definitely taken him where Kenyon Sadiq is too, just for the record. I look, at some point you got to just take a swing on the running back, and it's fine at 106. It really is. Like at this particular point, my whole point is that I'm trading the 106 because none of these guys are, elite. Well, then take the fucking running back. You know what I mean? Like, please yourself by getting yourself a starting running back, plug him into your RB2 slot and move on. Like, that's a fine use of the pick if you have to. Yeah.
I can't tell you guys, in the 4 FFPC Dynasty leagues that I'm in, Price went in the top 5 in all of them except for one.
Yeah.
Which kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a different format, shorter benches where you can't carry the volume of backup running backs that we can in traditional dynasty leagues. What you're really looking for is stars at each position. And so it makes sense to me why that happens.
Yes.
But he was going consistently, often the 102, definitely by the 104. So it's not uncommon at all. And I'm totally in a traditional dynasty league where you've got like a 27-man roster, I think that's a mistake. And I think you're better off just playing the depth game at that position. But on a shorter bench, I do think he becomes more valuable.
Yeah.
Right.
Because those are like deep keeper leagues more than dynasty to some degree, right? Because you have to cut and the whole thing, and they're super fun. But the point of the matter is some of these wide receivers are like, do I even need to keep? Like, you saw some probably pretty crazy cuts like players that are pretty good that get cut on cut day at FFPCs. So,
and I think Price is an interesting one too, because he's probably the most roster construction specific. Wow, easy for me to
easy
say.
for you to say.
Roster construction specific player on the board, right? Because if I am a team who has no chance to contend, I'm probably looking at Sadiq in the 7 or Concepcion in the 7. If I have a chance to contend and he falls to me at the 6, I'm pretty fired up about that. So,
yeah,
I think Jerry and Price really kind of take a look at what your roster is, and if you're looking long term, maybe he isn't the play.
I had a spot where I had, I think, the 7, 8, 9 or something like that, and I was happy to take Jadarian Price there.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, fine, whatever. Like, I couldn't really get off those picks. I did my best to trade him. I couldn't trade him. That's the other thing too with trading, guys. Sometimes you're not going to be able to, but if you want to, you have to actually try. And sometimes you just get shut out. Like, it's like 7 hours into your 8-hour clock and you haven't even heard a fucking response. Nobody's texted. Like, there's nothing. You're like, I guess I'll just pick a guy then. Like, it does happen, but you can wait it out. That might make this cold open right there. I'm just gonna pick a guy.
Yeah. Take another pick.
Yeah. I don't want to.
It's fun. And like, Joe mentioned before the show that he said that I've been trading a lot, and it is actually, and this isn't even like a sell job. Our site has been making me more attuned and more, I want to go in there and find some offers and poke around and see what's out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So highly recommend that, because I've talked about it on this show that I need to be a more attentive dynasty manager. And I think what we've got built at OTC has not only allowed me to feel the excitement of sharing it with the people, but has allowed me to benefit from it as a dynasty gamer as well. So with that, Jax, you are on the clock with the 109.
Wait, just speaking of attentive dynasty manager,
one more thing, right, Joe? One more thing.
One more thing.
Let's circle back on Roma Dunze real quick.
I know. I just want you guys to know, being an attentive dynasty manager, I'm texting with our boy Rhino right now, who just offered me $100 in fab for a 5th round pick, which I am gladly pushing the button on right now. Accept. So there we go. That's attentive dynasty management.
That's another feature of the bulk trade finder.
I think I just got the alert that I got to put that through the big game. There it is. There it is. Live on air, the most worthless trade ever that I actually have to,
you have to prove it.
Yeah. The 511 for $100.
It's an incredible deal. That might be one of my best trades of all time.
This is so good. I love that. I love every bit of that. Yep.
That's so Dynasty
for the
Underground.
brand.
That is so Dynasty Underground that came up while we were on the show. Jax, will you make this 109, please?
Yeah, I mean, it's so fitting that I'm just taking Omar Cooper at the 109. I mean, this is the amount of leagues I'm doing this in.
I'll buy this pick for you for 100 fab.
Yeah, for 100 real dollars, I might do it. Yeah, I mean, this Omar Cooper thing. I look. There's a slight, Jacob Sanderson said that a bet for Omar Cooper is a bet against Kenyon Sadiq. And I think that's about right. I am a slight bet against Kenyon Sadiq, especially early on. Like, I think Kenyon Sadiq might get there, but I don't think he's a out of the box, ready to go NFL tight end. I just don't. That may be wrong. I could have egg all over my face. I understand I'm ready to be wrong, but that's the way I see this thing. And, I may be wrong. We'll see. But I do think Omar Cooper does have a lot of NFL ready, sort of out of the box skill sets that he can just go play. And, he's a great zone beater. He played outside. See, the thing that always gets me whenever I'm listening to podcasts, they'll be like, Omar Cooper. I mean, kind of a slot guy. It's like, yeah, in his 1 year he played in the slot. The other years he played outside and was dope. He had an 8 out of like 15. Like, this is crazy. What are we talking about? He's not just a slot guy. He can do it all. And that's the thing that really makes Omar Cooper a value, is that most of your league mates have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but people are talking about Garrett Wilson being there as like a bad thing. And I actually think it's not terrible at all. And I think they're both malleable enough to both play inside and out. And I think that's their 2 wide receiver set. Both those guys can play in the slot. Both of them can play outside. people have been talking about like Sadiq getting more targets than Omar Cooper and him being the third target earner on the team.
No way.
That's utter nonsense. Sadiq has never been a target earner, right? He's never been a more than 20% guy in any season in college. What makes people think he's going to step into the pros and do that? So
it's crazy.
It's a fallacy. It's like just completely magical thinking that Sadiq is all of a sudden going to become a great target earner. He could over time, and he's got this athletic profile that gives him this immense upside over time. But in their rookie years, I'll take the over on Cooper versus Sadiq in terms of targets, receptions, yardage, all of it.
Yep.
I think that's reasonable. I think it's going to be an interesting one to see play out as the Sadiq truth.
For sure, bro.
I mean, the Jets, like, just watching that fire is going to be crazy in its own right. This is interesting, boys, because, you know, Ty Simpson's on the board there.
Yep.
I've been a bit of a fader. We got Eli Stowers, who's going in this range in a lot of leagues that we see. Jonah Coleman, who we talked about. Nobody else really down the board that is enticing me, but the guy that I'm going to go with is a guy who I was pretty bullish on, and that was Denzel Boston. Denzel Boston. I think, like, we can't have him that much further behind KC Concepcion, in my opinion. I think the opportunity is very close for Boston as it is for Concepcion in Cleveland. I think whatever that quarterback situation shakes out, it's shaking out for Concepcion. It's also shaking out for Boston. He was a top 40 pick, 39th overall. And I think they both offer really nice complementary skill sets. I see that as being a nice tandem going forward for the Browns. And I think both of those guys can eat in that facet, provided they get their shit together and get a quarterback who can deliver it. So I'm pretty high on Boston still, even with the drafting of Sadiq. So I'm going to take Boston here instead of the quarterback Ty Simpson, who I think I would probably fade further.
Yeah, and I'll just note, our model like Boston more than Concepcion. It's a shame that they landed together on the same team, but at the same time, I just feel like maybe not in year one and maybe not right away, but Judy is probably gone after this year. Tillman, I believe, is also entering year 4. He's going to be likely gone as well. And then it's these two and Fannin as the core of this wide receiver room with presumably a new, signal caller going into the 27 season. So I think they're good short-term bets, medium-term bets, and long-term bets. And I got no qualms with the pick. I've moved Boston down a little bit just because what I've noticed in real life drafts is people are pushing him down. So I'm like, okay, I don't need to put such a high premium on him. I had him right about where you just took him, Trav. So I've got no issue with it whatsoever. So I believe that leaves me with absolutely no choice but to take my tight end one in the class, which is Stowers, Caramel.
Get them both. Get them both.
I would like both of them. I actually am really selling myself on this Philadelphia fit. And I don't think that Goddard is, speaking of guys that aren't going to be on their team for much longer, I think Goddard is probably, in his last year. I think he's in the last year of his contract. So Stowers becomes, so he becomes a really interesting medium to long-term play in his own right. Obviously more of a receiver than a blocker. So we'll see what he has to do to earn his team's trust and playing time moving forward. But we just like the production profile and the athleticism, right? And it's the combination of those two things that make us interested in a tight end. I don't think he can really become the number 2 target earner on the team, but I think on that offense in a smart organization that drafted him with purpose, which is exactly what we said when, throughout the process, like we need a team to draft him with purpose. That's exactly what happened with the Eagles. And they want to throw more over the middle where, they demonstrated that by getting Lemon and Stowers to do just that.
Yep. And a new offensive coordinator. So, all of the play calling stuff that led Hurts to not target the middle of the field will likely change this year. Now, granted, I don't think he's going to become the number 1 over the middle thrower, but all this over the middle stuff is a little bit overhyped. You
Agreed.
didn't have over the middle players. You didn't have, it's just like
Play calling. Yeah.
Play calling for sure was
Totally.
fucking unbelievable. The fourth down play that ended your season. The
All
four verts.
verts. Yeah. Oh
So
my
bad.
God.
4 fucking verts. Like literally,
stupid.
like
for a
like,
team
I
that
mean-
never runs 4 verts or fucking success. Don't even start me on this.
I mean, it's embarrassing actually. Like
Tell
it's
me
like,
about
wait, what? Wait,
Tell me about it.
no,
Yeah.
like come on, that couldn't have been. There was a timeout and everything. Like, you know what we should do? How about just fucking everybody beat? Wait, really?
How about the first play you ever ran in football in your life?
I'd never thought of that. Let's just fucking, they're going to be sitting there waiting for it. So let's just run right into them.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, I think
You know,
it's going to be interesting. I think for me, Stowers' runway is longer being with Philly because it's a team that hasn't predicated the tight end unless they've had some injuries at the wide receiver position. They're in some transition with a new offensive coordinator and the loss of AJ Brown as well. And so I think he's going to take some time to find his footing. So I think actually, I think this is a good pick, but I'm a little bit worried about the volume outlook for him. And I think he's going to have to do a lot of that on his own with never necessarily getting a decent amount of tight end volume, but he can do it as far as the profile though.
Okay. I hate my pick. There is a person I must take because even if I think about it, I'm like, okay, I don't want the quarterback. I want to take player X, Y, or Z. I think you have to trade out of this pick. You can't pick someone over, like you can't pick Jonah Coleman over. You can't pick a 4th or 5th round running back over a 1st round quarterback. Like that just doesn't even make any sense in a super flex league. So I'm taking Ty Simpson. And it's fine. Like I have a couple of Ty Simpsons over the first, few drafts I've done, however many there are. And I think it comes down to like, it's just a value holding. Like you can't. So I heard someone say something really smart. They were like, it's kind of like he's a 1.5. It's not a 1st round pick and it's not a 2nd round pick. He's just going to be worth somewhere in between that value going into next year. Like he's not worth a 1st, but he's also not worth just a 2nd. He's probably a little bit in between that. And I think that's probably right. Someone's going to get excited about Ty Simpson once Stafford retires. It's also possible Stafford gets hurt. Knock on all the wood. I don't want Stafford to get hurt at all for all my Puka shares. But look, at the end of the day, there's a number of outs that you can get with this Ty Simpson bet, and it could happen sooner rather than later. So even if you want to get out, you can get out sooner rather than later if there's an injury. But you probably have to sit on it for a year, really. Although there could be some takers, man. During the season, there could be some people that knock on your door that are big Ty Simpson fans. You'll get an opportunity to sell on this. I just think it's a mistake to pass on him, especially at this particular point. We've passed long enough.
I actually think that there's a hive right now. And Jax, in that same league that we were just talking about, where I just made my $100 fab trade, I drafted Ty Simpson at the 111. He fell to me at the 111. Process play. I'm just taking Ty Simpson. I just need to do it right here.
Yep.
About an hour or two later, I traded Ty Simpson straight up for Rondé Gadsden, and that is in a 0.75 tight end premium league, right?
Nice.
So, I'm sorry, 1.75 per tight end reception, to be clear.
Right.
So,
right.
I traded him straight up for a guy that I think in that league is more valuable. But like immediately there was interest in acquiring Ty Simpson. So like, yes, I think you can do it. I think you should do it. And I think you can trade him in the draft to the team that is quarterback needy and thought they might get Ty Simpson or was hoping to get another quarterback. Or maybe they're the Matthew Stafford owner, right? There's just like lots of ways to do it. Once you take him though, there are going to be takers for him.
And at the 201, we mentioned him. I'm taking Jonah Coleman. You like the multifaceted profile as a receiver and a runner. We talked a little bit of like when we were talking about him, we kind of sounded like the way we spoke about Cam Scatabo last season, obviously a lesser prospect. We think a lesser NFL player, but in this draft, right around that 201 for Jonah Coleman coming into Denver with RJ Harvey not having performed and taking the reins last season. And not a ton else. Well, J.K. Dobbins, of course, but the ever injured J.K. Dobbins. So Jonah Coleman in a Sean Payton offense getting, 50-50 snaps is a valuable fantasy football asset. And that's something that we see in his range of outcomes as early as this season. So what is he, 4th round running back? I think that's as good as you can hope for him. And so 201, I think, is good value in the 2026 class.
Completely agree. And what I'm hoping is he's just the direct backup to both Harvey and Dobbins to start the season. What I'm hoping it doesn't turn into is that classic Sean Payton 3-headed monster at running back, but I'm afraid that might be what it is. Regardless, just looking ahead, I don't think Dobbins is on this team in 2027, and I think Jonah Coleman is stepping into those shoes, and we'll see if Harvey is the Kamara to Coleman's Ingram or something along those lines. I think Sean Payton offenses, we can just bet on the fact that there are going to be 2 running backs they're relying on. And last year, I think the sense of frustration is they were asking Harvey to do stuff that he maybe isn't equipped to do, but he serves a real purpose on that team too. So I'm not giving up on Harvey, but I am very I'm feeling a lot of trepidation about that backfield going into the season.
I mean, hashtag Jax was right.
Not sure if I'm on board with that being a thing.
No, I know. I was just saying, I think we had this conversation about RJ Harvey, and I was like, I think I'm a sell. And you guys were like, no, you know what? I think we're going to hang on. And I was like, I think he's a sell. And I do think he's still a sell. I just don't see him as being the 3-down player that we really need him to be in order to return real value. He kind of got there in a fluky kind of way last year. As soon as they opened up his opportunities, it didn't go so well. I think that this Jonah Coleman draft choice sort of signifies that, they want some Dobbins insurance, sure, but wouldn't they have Dobbins insurance if RJ Harvey was an all-purpose skill set back? Right? They wouldn't need it. So I just think there's some signal here that I think RJ Harvey is never going to quite get where we want him to get.
See, why I was confused is because I was defending RJ Harvey and you were saying Jax was right. And I thought you might be talking about where he was for you in the pre-draft and post-draft process last year, where you had him ranked ahead of my boy Cam Scadaboo.
Well, we all did, kind of. I mean, you had Caleb Johnson ahead of Cam Scadaboo.
Yeah, no, that's right. I'm not. Listen, we're all wrong all the time. No joke.
Yes. No. Here's the thing, though, Trav. I basically faded the Harvey, Caleb Johnson first round stuff. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Again,
that's true.
Those were the type of players I'm like, how did we get them all the way here? Like, this is expensive stuff. And I took one Caleb over Jackson Dart, and I'm killing myself in that league. It's just funny because you're like, well, I suppose I should, right? It's like, I don't know, man. Like, that just never made sense to me. We were there, and that's why talking it out sometimes kind of gets you there. But yeah, those were scary picks in the first round. I thought both of them were.
Yeah, agreed.
Before you get into your 202, Jax or Joe, Jax, your feelings on RJ Harvey bear out in the fact that you tried to get 2 seconds and a third out of me for him just yesterday, sir.
Pretty cheap. Yeah. Pretty cheap.
Pretty cheap. Yeah.
Pretty cheap. You love him. He's gonna fucking be a belt. You guys love him.
Not
Pass
for that
catcher,
price,
the whole
sir. Not for that price. Yeah, Joe.
No counter sent. So you didn't want to take advantage of my willingness to sell. That's all I'm going to say. Jax was right.
Yeah, I think your cost is interesting. So, Joe, you are on the clock with 202.
Speaking of picks we're going to regret a year from now, I would say outside of Omar Cooper, who I've gotten in bundles, my second most drafted player of this draft season, as I predicted when we started this process, has been one Mr. Nick Singleton, right? And man, had he not broken his foot and we had gotten to see him at the combine, I do think this guy would be going in the middle or later part of round 1 at the absolute latest. In your rookie drafts, I think he probably would have gone earlier in the NFL draft, and I think he's an absolute freak. There are concerns about the production, particularly the running, missed tackles forced, yards after contact, etc. But what he has in his favor is his size, his speed, just full-blown athleticism, which is evident on tape, and most importantly, the pass catching ability. And in terms of landing spots, I don't think you could possibly have landed better as a running back outside of Jadarian Price in Seattle. I'd say Nick Singleton landing in Tennessee with a 28-year-old, soon to be 29-year-old Tony Pollard, kind of as his, the starter, the incumbent he has to overcome. So he probably starts out as a kick returner. He probably starts out as a special teams guy, but come later in the season, I think we're going to start hearing from Nick Singleton. And, like I said kind of before, he's kind of just like a Tevin Coleman type prospect to me, where I think he's going to be a pretty good player for a few years. And that's valuable, especially in a class where that's devoid of, kind of game breaking talent.
Yeah. And now like running backs, I don't want running backs for a while off of this pick, but Jax, you are up.
Well, there's a couple more that I do want, but I will say that this is a awful spot in the draft. I hate this spot because for me, I could trade down to the early third here.
The 304 and you're in the same tier.
Yeah, I'm in the same tier. I'm just totally fine with it. I do see the appeal of Antonio Williams here. The problem for me with Antonio Williams is like he just doesn't pass the anatomy test. I'm not even looking at the OTC score right now. I'm sure
I'll pull it up as you speak.
Yeah, he's. I've got it here too, though. Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. It's not great. He's just not great. And so here I am taking a player that I'm basically drafting their depth chart. I'm drafting the Washington Commanders depth chart if I take Antonio Williams. And so when I say I'm taking Antonio Williams, it's like that doesn't feel all that good long term, because I'm really drafting him because of Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane and De'Ami Brown and Treylon Burks and Colston Yankoff. Thought I'd throw him in there for you, Joe. I didn't say I'm taking him though, buddy.
You kind of did.
No, he did. He definitely didn't. He's talking
about
the place
where you said I'm taking a player. I know you were speaking in hypotheticals, and I was just trying to be anticipatory there, and it felt like you were leading to it. But now I can gather you're leading away from it, and I'm sorry for interrupting that, sir. Carry on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for that kind apology. Well, so give me Antonio Williams. No, I'm joking. Honestly, though, like it really is. I look at this thing and I go, okay, there's a running back I like, but he's a backup, right? Like all the running backs now are backups, of course. It's just awful. It's awful.
I don't think it's awful. I think this pick right here to me is really clear. It's your pick, but I just want to comment on Antonio Williams since we're talking about him. I don't think the model thinks he's fine. I think he's like a lower tier prospect. He's like the upper lower class, if that makes sense from a model standpoint. It's not like a profile that I want to bet on for sure. Had he landed anywhere else, he'd be a lot less interesting. The only thing that's interesting is the landing spot, and drafting wide receivers based on landing spot is kind of a mistake. It's kind of proven to be the case over and over again because wide receivers earn targets regardless of where they go, regardless of their competition. If they're target earners, they're going to earn targets. It's not like running back. Running back, we will absolutely take them based, like I just took Singleton. Why? Because his profile says he's probably a late second round pick, but his landing spot says he's going to get opportunities right away. And he's got, a couple of traits that make him interesting. Antonio Williams is a slot only player, right? This is the kind of guy we say stay away from. That's what he profiles as. He doesn't profile as an outside guy. He doesn't profile as a Z. He's a slot only player. We like guys that can move into the slot, but can be the queen chess piece. He's not that. He is pigeonholed into the slot. Very exciting, but doesn't possess the skills or the size or the route tree to do anything else. So where he landed is probably good for his skill set, and we're probably going to see the most we're going to get out of an Antonio Williams in his rookie year. I just feel like it's a fugazi.
You know what's crazy about this conversation right now is this is literally the crazy conversation that goes on in my head, because if I'm sitting here, I don't want to make this pick. No. Because I'm looking at the ADP, I'm looking at what other people are doing, because I'm seeing Antonio Williams getting thrown into the 1-2 turn area. And so I have to look at it and go, wait a minute, am I missing something? Because if I am, I don't want to be the guy that I have so far 0 Antonio Williams, right?
You're not.
So it's like, well, am I missing Antonio Williams? Maybe. And the fact of the matter is that, with so many of these players being kind of like not quite there, like, I don't even know what's crazy about this. I don't actually know who you think I should take, Joe. That's how crazy it is. I don't even know if I want to ask you. I don't even know.
I'll tell you, but I'm pretty sure Trav's going to take him next.
So I'm going to take Elijah Surratt. And I'm going to take Elijah Surratt because I don't take Elijah Surratt here. I've been taking him at the 210, the 303 or whatever. He's just falling there, but this is a flag plant moment. Coin was in the air. I don't want to take Antonio Williams. I want to take the better wide receiver in Elijah Surratt and just go from there and then hear what you guys have to say. So I'm out.
I love that you took Surratt. I wish I had more Surratt. I was taking him very early in the rookie drafts that started on the Saturday of the NFL draft or the Sunday after the NFL draft. I was taking Surratt early, but when I let him fall, he fell pretty far.
He does. That's one thing I like about it.
Yeah, and so like I've just been waiting, and then I got him in the third, and then I got him, in the late third, right? So
yes,
I can't advocate for that pick here either, just because
100%.
in most leagues I think he's fallen a little bit further. But in terms of the profile, we talked about it, right?
Yeah,
something like somewhere between a Pittman and a Keenan Allen, right? And that's a pretty good wide receiver.
Yep.
Fourth round pick is major pause, gives major pause.
Huge.
But I like the talent. I like the player. I'm dubious of the landing spot and the competition on that team. So that's what gives me pause. But anyways, Trav,
it's a protest pick. It's a protest pick. I will admit.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I like him better than the NFL does and the fantasy community.
Yep.
Well, and this is some of the edge that I was talking about at the top of the show that can be had because we're seeing the value that we place on a Surratt. I might be a little bit further down than you guys, but it's growing on me a little bit too. And what we're saying basically is just find that trade out pick, get back to the 210, get back to the 209. I didn't pull this to get Surratt or anything. I traded out of a 204 just before the show, 204 and ETN to tier up to Bucky Irving and gave up my 304. So it doesn't necessarily look like a tier up, but there's almost 5 years of age there as well. So there's different ways that you can get out of these picks. You don't always have to go back to a later in the second pick. You can just come right out and get yourself an asset that's going to produce on your team, and you can feel fine about that.
Wait, so you got ETN. I'm sorry, you traded ETN and the 204?
And the 204 for Bucky Irving in the 304.
That's beautiful because you're in the same tier in terms of draft pick value, and you upgraded theoretically at running back. So I like that a lot.
I actually checked my dynasty rankings, and I had Bucky at 10 and ETN at 16. So I felt like I had to be a man of my word there. This pick here, guys.
And it almost doesn't matter because it's
really
the 204, 304.
Exactly. And the 204, it's not a tight end
premium. You can get Surratt at the 304. You can get him at the 204, right? It's
absolutely.
The same thing. Yes. It's exactly the point.
Yes.
Totally. 204 is an interesting pick. I'm thinking about a couple of different guys here. But I'm actually going to go maybe against my gut, but with a play caller who I believe in, and that if this player does hit, we've seen wide receivers hit big here, and that's going to be Dejon Stribling. I think, top of the second round draft capital in a Kyle Shanahan offense has failed us before, but when you see how devoid of pass catching weapons these guys are, so I'm trying to scroll down while I'm speaking here. I think Stribling could have a role pretty early. We've seen Ricky Pearsall not necessarily pan out, and so they are aching for somebody else to take it. I don't know that Stribling is, but if he is, I think this could end up being a value for us just with the production that we've seen out of San Fran. So that's why I'm going for it. Not super thrilled about it, but I think that's where we're at this point in the draft. I'm going to make another pick, and this is just me making another pick.
Well, that's the obvious pick that I was alluding to, and that's who I knew you were going to take, Trav, because listen, our model liked Stribling, not as much as it likes Surratt, but when you factor that against, where draft cap, not just real life NFL draft capital, but where, your rookie draft capital is landing, it's like Stribling kind of seems like he needs to be the pick here. I know everybody mocked the Niners for taking him at the top of the second round. I truly think he was going to be a top 50 pick, though. So
I agree. Yeah,
the reach doesn't seem that bad. And again,
I agree.
These guys draft on traits, and this guy showed enough on film, particularly in the second half of last year at Mississippi State, that excuse me, at Ole Miss.
Mississippi, Ole Miss, yeah.
At Ole Miss, yeah, excuse me. That I'm okay with it, especially in this system. Like we talked about him just being the 1-for-1 Ayuk replacement. So I think it's the obvious pick here. After Coleman and Singleton, who I actually just moved my tiers because I think that that's a tier. I think Coleman, Singleton, Striblin is the 13, 14, 15. And after that is where the big tier starts for me. And I guess I'm up. So now I'm at the top of this big tier. So the answer is trade back.
That's the pick from here on out, actually.
Yeah, exactly. But if I can't trade back, which I can't in this mock draft, I do have a little crisis of just pre-draft process and landing spot going on in my mind here too. And I've gone back and forth on this one candidly. For me right here, it's between, and I think other people are taking receiver here, but for me, it's between Emmett Johnson and Damon Claiborne. And they're both falling into the third round often, right? Emmett Johnson is just a bet on the Chiefs, a bet on the fit, a bet on him being the new Kareem Hunt. Some people are calling him, names I'm not going to summon. But former Chiefs running backs that, broke fantasy. Claiborne is just on a team with two running backs that I don't believe in anymore, with Mason and Aaron Jones. Like Aaron Jones, I loved him for a long time. I think we started to see the cliff. I think we saw him start to go off the cliff last year. And I think that he's still sort of fallen off that cliff, but he's still there. I think his opportunity is better. I was a pretty avid Johnson touter throughout the pre-draft process as my RB2, right? So that's why I'm kind of going back and forth, because I liked Claiborne. I like Johnson better. I'm taking Johnson right here, but I've gone with either or, and they're both kind of my guys right after Striblin. I think those are the obvious picks just because of the parity at wide receiver that follows.
Joe, I was going to take Emmett Johnson at the 203. I thought that was the right pick. Yeah. I really do. I think it's like, those running backs really, it's like, at this particular point, let me just say this. I really don't even want to draft these wide receivers. So I'm actually trading out of the area where wide receivers are going, all of them, Surratt included. I mean, I just don't want to take any of these wide receivers. I love it when I see the second round littered with wide receivers and I've got early third round picks. Then I can take Claiborne and Emmett Johnson and Katron Allen or whomever in the early third. That's really what I want to do. So, I think that's the right pick, Joe. Great pick.
It almost doesn't matter what happens in the second round, though, because I found it go both ways, right? Where it's like everybody took all the running backs. I'm like, great, I just got Elijah Surratt at the top of the third. Awesome. Yes. If it goes all wide receivers, I'm like, great, I just got Damon Claiborne or Emmett Johnson at the top of the third. Awesome, right? This is exactly what we're talking about. It's just a big tier. It doesn't matter. So this is why the move is trade back, right? After Nick Singleton, and I could even make the case at the Nick Singleton pick, at the 14th pick overall, just trade back to the third and pick up another third round pick if you can, or pick up a future third, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It's a big tier. So you're going to find falling value and just gobble it up later.
That's right. Because inevitably you're going to take the wrong guy like I did with Surratt. Really, like, because if you take Antonio Williams, okay, you took the best ADP, but did you take the right guy? Probably not. It's probably Emmett Johnson, or it's probably Katron Allen, or it's somebody that, so you might as well take two shots and move back.
And to be clear to the listener, Antonio Williams is gone in every single draft by now.
Yes, he is right now gone.
I think I would have a hard time taking either of those running backs in the second round. I've told you guys what I think about the Chiefs running back situation, though, and it's not necessarily, I don't know, I'm not attaching to it and thinking, and you guys say that if he starts for a couple games, he's valuable. That's totally fine. But I just think for a guy like this, we're asking for a lot from a fifth round running back. Jax,
it's a bad class. It's a bad class.
Totally. I know.
but I'd rather take a shot on a running back than a receiver that literally has no shot.
And his production profile is good, Trav. Like, he has multiple 1,000-yard seasons. He has multiple 30-plus catch seasons, right? He had a 41 catch season, if I'm not mistaken.
And they do throw to the running back in Kansas City, and it likely won't be that
much as you think, though. I don't like if you.
No,
I know
they don't not do it. I'm not saying they're like, oh, the number one. I'm just
bagging them. Even like Jerick McKinnon wasn't bagging that many. Like, we have to go back to like Jamal Charles to see when they were and I guess Kareem Hunt, when they were actually given reasonable targets to the running back. Kareem Hunt was 2017, boys. It's almost a decade ago.
He was 2025. What are you talking about?
Yeah, 2025 Kareem Hunt was not a running back we're chasing, boys. That is not a running back we're chasing.
I was chasing him.
I started definitely in 2024.
I was riding.
I
rode Kareem Hunt to championships.
Yeah,
for sure.
2024, that guy got me into many.
Kareem Hunt was on many championship rosters for me in 2025. You go check it.
Yeah, if you guys want to draft that ceiling in the second round of your 2026 draft, you carry on.
Imagine if he was 22 though, and could still catch and had a little juice.
We'll see. Jax, you're on the clock. We got to get rolling. We're like,
we do.
These players don't fucking matter, and we're spending time on them.
I think they matter.
Eli Raritan.
I think they matter. I think they matter. Yeah, Jax, nice.
Eli Raritan, put him on the board.
Put him on the board. Sorry, we were talking while you were trying to make your triumphant pick there. I think this is the pick though, and this is where like tight ends are more valuable than anything after like
Trav, do it.
You know what's
I'm
funny with
Raritan? I'm doing it.
You know what's funny with Raritan is that he's still ranked behind Oscar Delp by ADP on Sleeper, but in every draft I've been in, Raritan has gone ahead of him. So I think that's like a weird glitch that's going on. Yeah, like
you gonna give us a Raritan?
Well, you should have given it a Raritan because you said, I choose you, Raritan.
There it is. Yeah.
And partially despite Joe, but partially because I think the upside and the advantage that this player might be able to give you is better than any of these other players. Going to Oscar the Grouch, Oscar Delp. I wish he was Grouchy, actually, because that'd be a fantastic fucking nickname, but he seems like a pretty nice. I think you could have gone other ways. There's a couple of wide receivers that you might look at. Mike Washington, you're seeing go at this place in certain drafts, but I think Oscar Delp, considering that this league is a 1.5 tight end per reception, I'm going Oscar Delp here.
Well, I spent enough time talking about my Emmett Johnson versus Claiborne pick last year. You guys just left Claiborne for me, so I have to take him here.
You can have him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
I like Claiborne.
I mean, there's some opportunity there for sure, and I think this is a totally fine pick. I like in the back half of the second round better than the first half if you're going for these running backs, but they're just kind of scary.
Yeah, he's a 6th round pick. You know, I just did this in the Underground League. I took Claiborne at, I think it was the 209. Yeah. I was trying to trade back, couldn't, and I was debating between him and Oscar Delp. And of course, Oscar Delp went one pick before me in the next round. Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't even have that pick. I was trying to trade into that pick. And then our buddy Keegan, I was trying to trade with Keegan, and he's like, no, I'm just going to take your guy. And he just drafted Oscar Delp. Told me.
I think I'm on the clock. And if I'm going to take a wide receiver, I'm not going to take Antonio Williams. I'm going to take the other guy who actually has legit upside if he actually gets to his apex outcome. And he's got opportunity. And the depth chart sucks. Give me Chris Bell.
Yeah, I haven't known what to do with Bell. I like him a lot from a prospect standpoint. Obviously, Miami is, there's a huge target void there, so he can fill that. But he's obviously not going to play until later in the season, anyways. But yeah,
which insulates his value.
Until November, maybe.
Is that we'll see when he plays.
I think it's a good pick because you're seeing him go at the top of second rounds routinely in these drafts. I thought about him with the Stribling pick at 204, thought about him with the Delp pick at 207. And so I think that's a really good pick for a guy who, like, if we're talking about, some potential upside and opportunity, I think Chris Bell is as good as any in this second round.
All right. I'm actually moving my rankings as we speak just because I see that my rankings do not align with what I've actually been doing.
Same.
And right here, I'm taking Skylar Bell.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Not even your pick, fella. Not even
Oh,
your wow.
this is how I get sniped.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to get sniped.
I don't think you're going to get sniped either. I'm going to do it just to be nice. I'm actually going to go for the value play. It's gross. It's ugly.
Good
But
pick.
I'm taking Carson back.
It's a good pick.
I like it.
I just think, like I've talked about it already. I think that if Ty Simpson is graded as a back of the first round rookie draft pick, then Carson Beck has to as well, because it's that kind of balance of Ty Simpson holds value for a couple years when not starting. It's that spike in value that we want to see from Carson Beck this year when Jacoby Brissett goes down, and him being a 17th year senior coming out into play for the Cardinals could be ready to go in as that backup, right? And so that's what you're seeing here. I'm not seeing Carson Beck is a guy that I want to set and forget as my quarterback too. He's a guy that I want to get 4 starts and play mediocre enough to where somebody maybe believes that he has a chance at being the starter next season, and I can trade him for a 27-second plus, or maybe even get a first out of him. So that's why I'm taking Carson Beck. I think the value here at 210 is good. I actually did think about him with that 201 and the 204, but I didn't think you guys would go there. I thought I could keep pushing.
Yeah. There's one league where I have Brissett as my QB3 in a super flex league, and I got Beck at the 304. But
Thanks.
I started trying to trade up right around here. The 209, the 210, the 211. I was just making small little incremental improvements for the teams. Everybody said no all the way through. And then I ended up getting him at 304. So I'm glad they all said no.
Right.
And I ended up getting him anyways. But so that's kind of the range I feel like
Mhm.
he should be in if you need him, if you've got Brissett or not. I think like 209, 210 to middle of the third round is like the right place for Beck to fall.
Yep.
All right. So now I'm going to take Skylar Bell. Model liked him well enough. Landing spot, I would say, is wide open for a wide receiver too, and I think we like his versatility. He's got a little bit of inside outside game that, you know, Buffalo probably needs him more on the outside. We'll see what they end up doing with DJ Moore, but I'm just really interested in the player and his model score, so I'm taking Skylar Bell here. I haven't landed him in a real draft yet, but I really want to. Everyone actually seems to be higher on him than us, which kind of blows my mind because we were the ones touting him all offseason.
Yeah. You know, it's funny too, because our model has him pretty well scored, but he plays for one of the independents. It's Notre Dame and Connecticut. And, you know, some of the guys saw, you know, Skylar Bell's raw score before we have to add some sort of, we have conference, you know, there's conference and strength of schedule basically in the model, but with Connecticut, there's nothing to do. So his score, if he'd played at Alabama, would have been, I think it would have been the wide receiver 1 or 2 in our class. So obviously he did not play at Alabama. He played at UConn. So he falls down a little bit, but some of those raw scores look really good for Skylar Bell. And of course, he does the things that we want an elite receiver to do, which is break tackles and make big plays. And he's got, you know, obviously some really great target stuff, but he's got a little bit of a hill to climb. I've had this conversation now. I had it with Matt Kelly on the show this week. And, you know, he was like, yeah, you know, I'm not so sure either if he's going to be able to climb that mountain. I mean, you have Keon Coleman, who's a first-round pick. Khalil Shakir is not a bum. DJ Moore is good. It's kind of like, so it may be a little bit of a wait and see with Skylar Bell. I really like him. I do think that if he does hit, it's the old adage I always say, if you turn over the card and it's a win, what does that win look like? Well, with Skylar Bell, if he's a win, it's a big win, I think. More likely he's an L, and it's not going to come to fruition with Skylar Bell. But I think if it does, it's a big win. So I think it's definitely an upside pick for sure.
I'm going to be making that argument in a few picks from now.
I love that.
I was just going to say, speaking of L's, Jax, why don't you make this 212 pick? Just because picking after this just feels like an L.
I'm actually going to take I know everybody. I'm gonna take. I don't even know what the fuck to do. This is crazy. I hate everything about this draft. I hate it. I don't like making picks. I've basically just been trading everything away. None of these picks sound like a good idea. None of them. I don't like any of them. Let's go with. Let's just do Ted Hurst.
I thought so.
Bingo.
Let's just do Ted Hurst because Ted Hurst at least has the upside too, and he does play a different type of role than every other wide receiver on that offense in Tampa Bay. Ted Hurst plays outside, down the field. He's obviously super athletic and super fluid, and everybody else on that team sort of profiles more slot to Z, right? Every single one of them, Tez, Jalen McMillan, Ibuka, and Godwin, all sort of in this, realm. And then there's Ted Hurst over here in this realm. And so if he does end up being good, I do think that even though the depth chart looks like it's tough hill to climb, I actually think it's a depth chart that he can climb very easily into the number one chair at the X wide receiver position.
Yeah, he's the power forward amongst a bunch of shooting guards / small forwards, right? That's it's a very versatile wide receiver room, but they do need a big guy, and he fills that void like nobody else can. So I like that quite a bit. And actually, I just moved my rankings because changed my rankings because I think that that's the absolute correct pick here.
Okay, this pick, we've talked about it, boys. The book. I'm about to close the book with the third chapter, and that would be Eli Heidenreich.
Ooh. That seems a little early, but that's all right.
I love
301. Like, what am I going to take? Chris Brazzell? Okay. Chris Brazzell? Nah. Zachariah Branch? No, thank you. We talked about Antonio Williams. Maybe he is the pick there, but I think the versatility and the upside that Heidenreich could bring. Talked about it a little bit pre-show. Like, if he gets in here and hits, he's going to be an absolute folk hero in Pittsburgh. And so, it's a shot in a draft where it's all just shots at this point. A couple wide receivers I might have liked, but I felt like I had to close the book. And he wasn't necessarily one of my guys. He was more of your guys' guy. I have no shares of him, but your guys' intrigue has made me want shares. So I'm going to use this as my de facto first share of Eli Heidenreich.
I love that. So I've been getting him. It's pretty funny actually. In a couple leagues with Jax, I had the pick right before him, and I knew I didn't even talk to him. I didn't even taunt him or anything, but I took Heidenreich right before him, and then in another league he took Heidenreich right before me. So it's like we've been playing this little cat and mouse game. Like in the mid to late third, I would say, is kind of where I start to take him. So I love the pick, and we always ask the question, but from the other end of the spectrum, what do you win when you win? Mm-hmm. Right. And it's just what do you get? A wide receiver 3 out of this? Who cares? Right. But with Heidenreich, what do you win when you win? He could easily end up being the second best running back in this class with his receiving profile, and just being kind of this hybrid player that accumulates points via pass catching and big chunk gains. He could also easily be an absolute nothing like the rest of these third and fourth round picks. But if you're right, and if you win on Heidenreich, the upside is so high and so tantalizing that I think, anywhere in the third round is warranted. So I like the pick. I've gotten him anywhere from the third to, in FFPC leagues, the fifth round. Fifth round is late. You're not going to do that on Sleeper and in your normal leagues, but in FFPC, you get the free agent pool included in the draft class as well, which is why he's sometimes slipped. But I'd say, middle of the third is kind of the right place for him. If you don't have another third round pick and he's your guy, I'm all about it.
And I've been comping him to Kenny Gainwell.
Yeah, it's a really good comp.
Sort of perfect because here he is in the Kenny Gainwell role potentially, where he could really thrive with an Aaron Rodgers dump down game. So it's possible. It's possible.
It is Rodgers is notorious for hating rookies. Exactly. At the same time, you cannot convince me that Aaron Rodgers isn't going to love the hell out of Heidenreich. right? He's going to pepper this guy. He's going to treat him like Gainwell. He's going to give him chances right away. Like
if he's good, that's right.
Heidenreich is going to have to mess up royally, and then he'll just get doghoused by Rodgers and thereby, the team. But if he does everything right, which we suspect he's kind of like got the mindset that he will, being a Navy guy, I think he's
Can I say something? This is a take I've been wanting to say. So
sure.
You got Michael Pittman and DK Metcalf, right? And then I'm told Jeremy Bernard is supposed to be the wide receiver 3.
Yeah. By the way, in every draft thus far, Jeremy Bernard goes at like the 203, the 204. People are overdrafting the hell out of him. Guys, we can't stress this enough. Don't draft Jeremy Bernard. Do not do it. Anyways, go ahead.
It's kind of obvious.
Finish making your point.
Why is it that Eli Heidenreich isn't just better than Jeremy Bernard in the slot? like in the slot?
Well,
like maybe if you move Jeremy Bernard to Z and it's a Z, and I understand the backside dig and the whole thing. Like, I'm not saying that, but in the slot, just saying, I don't know.
Well, dear listener, just FYI, even though he played running back or slot back in college, we went ahead and took his receiving profile and plugged it into our model and included him in our wide receiver model just in the event that he played wide receiver in the NFL, because we weren't sure and we wanted to cover your bases. So go get that model. Spoiler alert, as a wide receiver, he profiles much better than Jeremy Bernard.
Yes, that's true. Number one. Number two, the best thing in the model that I loved was one of his comps in the model, because the model doesn't know their height, their weight, their speed, none of that. It's not in the model.
We don't take athletic measurables. It's all production based. Yeah.
It's all production based. So big plays, high fucking, yards per reception. One of his model comps is DK Metcalf, which I thought was hilarious.
I love that.
All right, Joe.
Well, this is a process play.
It's getting bleak.
No. I actually have a pretty clear pick right here, and it's not actually exactly in the order that my rankings are, but this is a process play. I'm just going Katron Allen right here. This is the end of the road in running backs for the most part. It's like way bleaker after this at this position. There were only, I think, Jax, I heard you say there were only 13 running backs drafted this year, which is a record low. And Allen actually finds himself in one of the better landing spots without a proven ball carrier ahead of him. Bill has not done anything to earn our trust. We've seen some big play and exciting play out of Bill, but no consistency. Rashad White is primarily a pass catching back that, has gotten better as a runner over the years, but is nobody's idea of a bell cow. And Katron Allen just slides right into the Chris Rodriguez role, in my opinion, the chain mover, the, conductor that keeps the train on the tracks for the offense. So I would draft Allen here. And as soon as he starts getting play and as soon as he starts to establish himself, I would trade him, because the talent is not that good, but the opportunity is going to be there. And so with that opportunity, we are going to sell. So I want to be clear. Allen is worth drafting in the third round for sure. And in some drafts, I've seen him go in the second, but the moment he starts to gain steam, you just sell that steam like crazy. I'm telling you now, I'm going to repeat it during the season, but just sell Allen when the steam comes. But he's worth drafting because he's an NFL running back that a lot of teams would like to have.
And Jax, that would put you on the clock at 302.
Hell yeah. 303.
303, sorry, 303.
Sorry. By the way, I couldn't help but think the entire time that the 201, the 202, and then the 203, 204, 205, like those picks should have just been like Emmett Johnson, Katron Allen. It's just like, it just does feel like those running backs should just kind of fly off the board and then do what you got to do with the wide receivers. I mean, I don't know.
Due to scarcity, right? Just hammer the running backs that have a fighter's chance of making a 53.
Yes.
And then take all of these wide receiver threes at best thereafter.
Yes, because none of them feel good. And the running backs don't feel good either. They're all terrible, but I'd rather have a running back with a shot than a wide receiver with a shot, because a wide receiver with a shot isn't actually useful.
Maybe.
All the wide receivers with a shot that you have on your roster already, you don't even like them. You don't like any of them. Even the ones that are good in starting, like Christian Kirk. Nobody wants Christian Kirk, and he's been like good for like the last 5 years, and nobody wants him. Nobody wants Jacoby Myers. Nobody wants any of these players. Like, so look, at the end of the year, these guys would all love Antonio Williams. All these guys would love to be Jacoby Myers, and nobody even wants that dude. So anyway, what am I going to do? Therefore, I'm going to do the tight end premium thing and take Max Clare.
That's a good pick.
Thanks.
Yeah, this is right around where you see him going, really. And I think, we talked about it last week, Rams tight end in that McVay offense. They drafted him with a purpose too. And so I think that's a good pick. And this is another kind of tier where we get a group of those tight ends who get more intriguing than any of the other players that are on the board.
Can I make a confession?
Yeah.
Confess.
I've drafted 0 Max Clare, not because I don't think that the process says you shouldn't, but because it's a protest because of our boy Terrence Ferguson. I'm just like, no, why did they draft Max Clare? We got Terrence Ferguson. Let's go to him.
Your feelings were hurt, is what you're saying.
My feelings were very much hurt for Ferguson. My bag's a little bit too, if we're being honest, which are tied to my feelings.
It shouldn't hurt your bag, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. If it hurts your bag, I think your stribling might be falling out.
Yeah. Ooh, that's so good.
Now that's a callback.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right.
Oh, I'm on the clock. Look at that. I'm on the clock. Wow. Yep. I'm just going to put my striblings back before I do this. And then I am going to take a wide receiver that I actually think is a good fit for the offense that he went in, taking him more than a round behind his teammate who was drafted behind him. And that would be Jacoby Lane, boys. I think this is a really nice fit. I think if you see some of like the social media and stuff, like he's got that look at me that we like out of our number one wide receivers. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's like head case because he seems like a nice kid. So I don't know if he's going to be like doing nefarious shit, but I think he definitely has a lot of like swag to him. I like that about him. I think he's a downfield threat, makes amazing catches. And in Lamar Jackson's kind of scramble game, I think Jacoby Lane getting open downfield provides something that neither Rashad Bateman does, Mark Andrews, obviously, and probably not even Zay Flowers does in this offense. And so I think Jacoby Lane can be a nice fit, routinely getting him at the top of third rounds. I think he is a guy who I would probably be taking over those running backs, guys, just because I think that shot could be big if he were to get a shot. Some of these guys come through, right?
It's more so than even the Boston and more so than Cleveland with Boston and why am I blanking? Casey Concepcion. Yeah. This one is a complete gamble because I think there's a world where Boston and Concepcion are valuable as soon as the 2027 season. I think in Baltimore, it's Highlander. There can only be one.
Yeah,
there can only be one. Right. So it's either gonna be Lane or Surratt. We like them both. The model liked them both, but unless Flowers is gone after this year, he's in year 4 too, right? Unless he's gone after this year, I doubt that. I don't think that Lamar is the type of QB that's going to support 3 wide receivers with his running game and everything else, and his proclivity to tight ends. So it's just a 50-50. And I think we talked about this on the last episode. It's like if you can double tap both of them and just get one
in the third, you can do it.
One valuable wide receiver out of the 2 of them, that's like a win.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Joe, you're up, brother.
All right. Well, this is fun because my rankings are such that I'm getting a guy that I haven't actually drafted yet, but I've been feeling some FOMO on. I crapped on this guy all offseason. In the pre-draft process, especially after the Senior Bowl, you guys were telling me he's going to be a second-round pick, and I was like, you're smoking. Like there's no way this guy is a second round pick. Like he's an interesting player. I kind of like him. I'm kind of interested, but I don't think he's a second round pick. I don't think he's a top 50
To be
pick.
fair, we said there was rumor that he might be a second round pick. We didn't say that he's going to be a second round pick.
All right, fair enough. But anyways, I'm taking Malachi Fields here.
Yeah.
And I like it, and I'm like kind of sad that I don't have any real life shares of him yet across my 11 drafts thus far, because who's throwing on the ball? Our guy Jackson Dart. Who's across the field from him? Our guy Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
This is just who's the running back on that team? Our guy Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Giants are just filled with a bunch of our guys. And Malachi Fields is going to be the beneficiary of our guys distracting the defense so that he can probably score touchdowns and get some cheap points. In the middle of the third round, I feel okay with this pick. I wouldn't do it any earlier than this, but this is where I got him ranked.
And I will let the slide stop with Antonio Williams. I think I'm totally fine.
I have him next. Yeah.
Getting a nice little slot receiver.
He should have gone.
This was one of those, of course, this was one of those things where I thought maybe as a group we could just fade him all the way to the, to not drafting him. But no, I think this is more. Look, I've flirted. I almost took him at the 203. I'm telling you, I was really close because he does have an opportunity to. I've said it. Like, what if he just gets 100 or 110 targets, like a Wan'Dale Robinson type of usage? It's definitely in the cards. He's not a bad player. This isn't an anti-Antonio Williams situation. I think he's fine. I think we definitely underdrafted him, maybe to prove a point. I don't really even know. I mean, obviously, who knows? But the fact of the matter is that he should be off the board by now.
I agree.
Yeah.
I probably should have done it with the last pick, but
yeah, whatever.
I had him right after Malachi, and that's spoiler based on our model scores.
Yeah.
Okay, boys, this is something.
You okay? You gonna be all right?
I think I might. I'm not sure after I make this pick actually, because I'm doing it. Because I think you're gonna see it in a lot of drafts, probably sooner than this. Second round wide receiver Jeremy Bernard.
It's also probably warranted at this point.
Yeah. I just think what are we looking at here, right? We're looking at Michael Trigg, Jack Endries. Nah, not quite yet. We're looking at Mike Washington, maybe Chris Brazzell. So I think just it's a draft capital shot over anything. You know what I mean? Because there is a chance that we're wrong. And at 307, I think it's fine to waste this pick if need be.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think it's fine to take him in the third round. I've got him ranked at the beginning of the fourth round, and he's long gone in every draft by the time the second round is done. So I'm never going to have to make that decision, but given this exercise, you have to. So I'm good with it, and thank you for doing that, Trav.
You're welcome. Really took one for the team there. I feel like you guys are sending me off to my death or something.
All right, so I'm gonna take Mike Washington here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a process play. Like obviously he had the incredible combine, the incredible athletic measurables, 230 pounds, ran a sub 4.4. So that's all great, and he can catch passes. So that's all very, very, very promising. He landed behind Janty, which is probably a good thing because I think people would have gotten smoked.
Good call.
If they were drafting him in the first round or early second round. But with Janty on a Clint Kubiak offense, who is a coach that showed us just last year, even though he had Ken Walker, had no hesitation about running out a second running back on a near 50-50 split, whether it was Charbonnet or whether it was Helani in the playoffs. That wasn't quite 50-50. But, he wants to have another back carrying a bit of the load. And I think Washington has a very, very clear path to RB2 on the Raiders, who are completely devoid of talent behind Janty. And he's going to get play year one right away. He might even be flex worthy, and he might even bust a few big plays. So he's too interesting of a prospect to pass up right here. In most drafts, I've noticed him going higher, but I think this is probably about where his value, this is a warranted pick here.
Yep.
I'm with you.
Mr.
You know,
Falcone.
I am taking a bunch of people, Antonio Williams, and this pick that I've got 0 shares of so far because this player's generally gone by now. But I think the landing spot's okay. And if he's got a little bit of that asymmetrical upside in Carolina is Chris Brazzell. Chris Brazzell did get some draft capital. He's normally gone somewhere in that second round, maybe by the 2-3 turn. I'm generally, not really targeting him, but I do love Chris Brazzell at this particular point in the draft. If I'm going to take some wide receivers, I really want to see some upside, which is why I'm sort of fading the Antonio Williams and Jeremy Bernard types for Ted Hurst, Skylar Bell, Chris Brazzell. I think they're all probably bums, but I'd rather take the ones that have some upside, and Chris Brazzell certainly does have that.
Yeah. That's who I was going to take with my next pick here, Jackson. I think like ceiling for Chris Brazzell is he's only a best ball guy, right? Which means that he's getting you spike weeks every like 4 or 5 weeks. You know what I mean? And you can add him as your 7th receiver on a best ball team because he might get you something like that. But you know what I mean? If he can put any level of consistency together, then those are big plays that could be had on your fantasy roster.
Well, not only that, just in terms of what Carolina needed in its receiving core, Brazzell's a dude that can win downfield, right?
Yep.
Tetairoa McMillan famously or infamously was like awesome at the intermediate stuff. Coker can win downfield a little bit from the slot, like sort of seam stretcher, but he profiles as more of a slot player. That
he's
can
more
play
like
a little
a
bit
Jamar
outside.
Chase type. Yeah, Coker. You know what I mean? Thank you. You're welcome.
But Brazzell is a tall, fast wide receiver that can play that X role or, even a flanker role, but that can win downfield, which is what Carolina needs because they've got the intermediate and the short area covered. So just from a team building and wide receiver room building standpoint, he serves a real life purpose.
Yeah, he fits.
And that's probably valuable. So I agree.
You're up, Joe.
Oh
no, it's me.
Right.
It's me.
Trav,
it's me. It's me.
Brazzell.
Sorry. I was gonna take Brazzell.
Sniped you.
Yeah, now it's all fucked, Jack. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Oh wait, I thought Trav just took Brazzell. Now I'm confused. Okay.
No, it wasn't me. Fuck me. This is brutal.
Yeah.
A couple tight ends here. You know what? I'm gonna go with another wideout from Atlanta, Zachariah Branch.
To snipe me.
Don't overly believe in the prospect, but I think if you look, it's Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Darnell Mooney, I guess, is still there.
No, he's not. He's in New York.
No, yeah, that's right. He went to New York, right? So that sucks for your Malachi Fields share, brother. I'm kidding. I mean, Zachariah Branch has a team that is looking for another pass catcher, and that's all we're looking for here. And Zachariah Branch does have a bunch of speed. That's not necessarily something that you want to maybe attach to that lightning speed. C1 Worthy Xavier, many other names that you could point to with those fast 40 times as well. But, there's opportunity in Atlanta.
Yeah, Zachariah Branch and Antonio Williams are the same bet to me, and they're the same bad bet to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you see Zachariah Branch consistently going in the second round a lot of these
it's crazy
rookie drafts. And again, it's the same argument, right? Where people are taking a slot only, twitchy, awesome with the ball in their hands kind of player, and they're just imagining the big play potential, but they're not imagining the limitations that comes with the profile. And that's why him and Antonio Williams are actually side by side for me in my rankings here in the, middle to later part of the third round.
By the way, but Joe's going to go here. But by the way, what was I going to say? Oh, Zachariah Branch is going to be behind Olamide Zaccheaus.
Oh, for sure.
Now,
yeah,
Luther Burden couldn't, mount Olamide Zaccheaus. We really expect Zachariah Branch to grab that bull by the horns and tame that bird. I'm not so sure, man.
Did not know where you were taking that, and I liked every part of it. So thank you for taking us there.
No.
Joe, it's you, dog. Let's
All right,
fucking ride
so-
this bad boy out, and then let's get
Go.
into that fourth round. Am I right, boys? Joking.
No,
Joking.
so
no, we
here-
can't do it. Lightning round.
Here I'm just going opportunity. We got nothing left. I'm gonna go Adam Randall in Baltimore behind Derrick Henry, where there is no viable running back behind him. So if anything happens to this 33, 34-year-old running back, like freak of nature Derrick Henry, Adam Randall finds himself probably as the main beneficiary on the carries front, and he's kind of a pass catcher too. So I'm just taking Adam Randall here as a process play, hedge against the aging, ageless wonder that is Derrick Henry.
For a second, my brain, when you said 33, 34, I thought you were talking about Adam Randall, and I was like, excuse me? Like, what the fuck? This guy is not... But I got it.
25.
Sorry.
Finish this fucker out, Jax.
I will. So I'm going to give you some picks that I like. Tanner Koziol, Matthew Hibner, I think is super undervalued. He was drafted with, I mean, the capital's not that bad, and he's going to an offense in Baltimore where, they're looking for a second tight end. They've always had a second tight end in Isaiah Likely. Mark Andrews not getting any younger. Matthew Hibner ran fast, was productive, pretty good little profile, and he is available to you in every fourth or fifth or on your waivers. So make sure you get Matthew Hibner.
He's in the fifth in every round, every draft.
Every time you can just, I'm getting Matthew Hibner every time. Talon Green and Cole Payton, I think, are those quarterbacks with upside. They're likely not to get on the field, so you're probably just gonna have to park them on a taxi. But I think they're worth, sort of rostering. And then you've got the, Seth McGowan, Kalen Black here that I could go with. But I'm gonna take Justin Jolly. I do think that Denver does need a tight end. They're gonna roll the corpse of Evan Engram out one more year, and I think that's an easy enough depth chart for him to climb. And he's pretty skilled. So I'm all in with Justin Jolie here, or Jolly, or however the fuck you say it. Either way, hopefully, I'm going to take both those guys right now.
Really hope it's Jolly. Really hope it's Jolly, because that's way more fun.
Way more fun.
That's a good pick there, Jax, too. And like, you've got other tight ends here, like Michael Trigg and Jack Endries are a couple other tight ends that I'm looking for in this.
The cat jumper, Michael Trigg.
Trigg, yeah, the cat jumper. This is right. So some guys there. I think pretty good wrap. We are definitely not doing a fourth round though, boys.
That's why I did the little, gave you some peeps I'm liking here. So, but other
after that, take Bryce Lance, take Taylor Green, Garrett Nussmeier, Sam Roush, RIP. He landed in the worst place possible for a guy I really liked. Yeah, Klubnik actually is kind of interesting just because he's probably going to get starts this year. So that's valuable in of itself. Nobody else is worth talking about. Good luck.
Oh, hey, fifth round tight end. Last one, Nate Borkircher. Don't necessarily expect a ton from him, but he was drafted in the second round to a Liam Cohen offense. I mean, take that shot in the fifth.
Sure, whatever. I will not be drafting any Nate Borkircher on the anatomy.
Borkircher. I'm not drafting Borkirch him. Nothing.
No. Yeah.
Borkirch them.
Yeah, no Borkirch day. None of it.
Yeah, I think this episode title
might be no Borkirching.
I think on the thumbnail it might be sure whatever might be what I put on the thumbnail for this episode.
I thought you were going to say Borkirch Day, which is probably a bad idea.
Probably
steer clear. Our listeners are down. Let's do it.
We are. Love you all, listeners, for riding with
sponsors. Hit us up.
Don't forget to check out otcffb.com. That is where all the goods can be found. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out K-Troll put an article out, his first article for OTC. Curdy's doing live streams. We got so much fun shit happening. Just get into the OTC ecosystem and you will have a good time, we promise. So for Jax, for Joe, I am Trav. We will see you next week. Peace.